Hi everyone, in this video we will see together the depth feedback mask editor. It's quite an advanced functionality that can be found in the geometry tab. If you go in the advanced tools for the field editor, you will see that you have settings and depth feedback mask editor. So first of all, what are we talking about when we say depth feedback mask editor? Well, why not go into the user manual? Because it's always helpful to remind ourselves that the user manual has a lot of useful information and even brief but effective explanation. So in the depth feedback mask editor tab, we have a tool that defines the regions of the right field that are used by the depth feedback algorithms that modulate the right force voltages for closed loop lithography. So basically, we can define regions of the data that we gather from the reading process that are not going to be used by the feedback. And why is this useful? Well, in some cases, we can have sharp changes of depth, very straight angles, and we know that because of tip geometry, we have a physical limitation that comes from the conical shape and the finite dimension of our tips. So therefore, a perfectly straight step is not really obtainable with the TSPL. Maybe we can have a very sharp angle, but in 90-degree angle, it's pretty much impossible. So in this sense, some data may create confusion to our feedback algorithm. So it's also why we try to exclude them. And whenever we import a geometry, so in this case, I imported this specific geometry, what we can see is, especially by looking in 3D, this is more clear. We have this very sharp structures here. So in this case, we may have some problems because cannot just make 1 or few nanometers with our tip. So we may want to exclude some of these data for the training of the feedback algorithm. So after we import a geometry, we can go in the field editor, we select the depth feedback mask editor, and we can see that these red areas are already the masked area for the feedback, and this is automatically generated when we import our geometry. So this basically means that these data are not going to be used, for example, to improve our feedback, because you see a very straight wall and very sharp angles. So most likely we're not going to be able to fully reproduce ever this extra sharp angle, which maybe has, I don't know, 1 nanometer or less. It's silly to think that you can do something that's much smaller than the tip dimension, because less than 1 nanometer is less than the tip dimension. So we exclude this data. This process can be automatically done once we import a geometry. You can see that we have a coverage factor of 0.09, which means that 9% of this data is going to be covered. But for any geometry that we import, if we see that we struggle because of problems with the feedback, we can always add some regions. In this case, we are in the show cross-section section graph. But if we go into the depth mask feedback, we can always, as you can see here, generate some new regions for the depth feedback mask. So by holding Control and key, holding Control key, we can create a region like here. In this case, I created this specific square because I want to exclude, say, this area. So we can keep on adding these regions, basically the setup will not be used by the feedback algorithm. And by adding Shift, we will remove, and by pressing the Alt key, we will remove and reset the feedback mask. So this is pretty much how the that feedback mask works, why it's used. It's quite I want to keep this video quite brief to show you how this tool works. You have also more settings of opacity and fraction for X and Y and edge dilation, which can give you even more fine control over the depth feedback mask areas. And you can play even more with this tool. But in general, I would say we're talking about a tool that's not very often used by our customers because it requires quite a mastery on not just TSPL, but also the understanding of the physical process, and it may be required for very fine optimization of some design of yours. So that's pretty much it. And I hope this was helpful and can help you in do even better TSPL patterning. So see you in the next videos, and thanks for watching.